Democratic Senator Chris Coons, who opposes the Republican short-term government funding bill, and joins me now. What do you think is happening behind the scenes? Is Chuck Schumer trying to negotiate something either within the caucus or with the White House?
Well, Andrea, none of us want a shutdown. Democrats in particular see the ways in which a shutdown government hurts people. But we are out of patience for short-term patches, for unmet promises. And I do know that Senator Chuck Schumer is working hard and diligently. I listened to more than a dozen other senators in the gym here this morning. Senator Schumer was working hard, moving back and forth between folks in senior leadership and more junior members. One of the things I was working to do was to help Republican colleagues understand how we hear it when Mitch McConnell, the Republican leader in the Senate, takes to the floor last night and says, this is all about illegal immigration, something that has no urgency to it and we don't need to fix now. When we saw last week President Trump on Tuesday choose to convene a bipartisan meeting and welcome legislators to come bring him a DACA fix, and then on Thursday, a strong bipartisan group of senators come back and say, here it is, we've worked it out. Big investment in border security, some of the issues in terms of family migration that the president demanded, and DACA. And then the president blows it up. It is hard for Democrats to believe that there is seriousness on the part of Republicans about addressing it at another time. This also will hurt lots of other things that are unaddressed. Disaster relief, children's health insurance program, community health centers. It's just stacked up to a point where we need a deal. And Andrea, within the next hour, I believe, you will see Senator Schumer bring to the floor an amendment to the House CR bill, the bill that's in front of us, that would put on the table all the things that we think we can agree on and we should agree on today to avoid a shutdown.
Well, let's drill down. What will be in that package? You talked about a list of things just now. Are we talking about border security, CHIP,
yes,
the children's health program,
yes,
Dreamers?
Yes.
What else should be in there? Disaster relief for Puerto Rico?
Yes. A robust disaster relief package that addresses Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands, western wildfires, as well as Texas and Florida and the hurricane recovery funding. There's also a pension issue that I think is not widely known, but is a longstanding unresolved issue that would be addressed in this. It would also ensure that in the event of a shutdown, Department of Defense personnel would be paid. It addresses a wide range of issues, from funding for the opioid crisis to disaster relief to our now months overdue budget agreement that would allow us to move forward on appropriations for the fiscal year that started in October.
Is your caucus united behind this? Is Joe Manchin on this?
It hasn't been put in front of the whole caucus, but from what I can see of the basic outline that was put out this morning, I would expect our whole caucus would support it.
So what does that do in terms of procedural votes? In terms of cloture and what the Republicans are putting forward?
That's a great question. At this point, the leadership of both caucuses would need to agree that we're going to take a vote on this. It includes the bill that has been worked on so hard by Senators Graham and Durbin, and that now has a broad group of bipartisan co-sponsors. It is important that we have a chance to see when or if that will get taken up. I think if we then put on the floor a 3 or 4 day CR to hammer out the details and to finalize an agreement that followed that architecture, it would readily get support by me and others. But there would have to be clear presidential leadership committing to move forward with this, and leadership from Senator McConnell saying, fine, it's time for us to address all of these long overdue issues. It's possible, but sadly, from the tenor of things last night and some of the deep misunderstandings and mistrust between the parties, it's unlikely without real leadership from 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, the White House, and from Senator McConnell.
Well, to be blunt, given the lack of trust, given the experience last week from Tuesday to Thursday, from Thursday morning to Thursday 2 hours later, let's be frank about this. What kind of guarantees would Senator Schumer and the rest of you Democrats demand in order to proceed with a cloture vote and do a short-term 3 or 4 day continuing resolution? Because you have to get it almost written in blood to be sure that the president won't change his mind, or Mitch McConnell will go ahead with it.
Well, that's the challenge. Senator McConnell last night said that without presidential leadership, without clarity from President Trump exactly what he's willing to sign on to, how can we negotiate over DACA? And that is the unresolved question. I'm encouraged that President Trump has apparently chosen to delay his trip to go play golf at his resort in Florida and his $100,000 a head fundraiser tomorrow to celebrate his inauguration. I'm encouraged to hear that the House is choosing to stay in. We've got all the players here. We know what the menu of issues is. This is, as Chuck Todd said a few minutes ago, a perfect moment for the president to exceed our expectations and show that he really is the deal maker that I think millions of Americans who voted for him thought he would be. This is also a moment where we could fail to come together, and the result would be an unfortunate and unnecessary shutdown. It is a place where the leadership of the Senate can start by being the folks here who show that we are sincerely committed to moving this forward. That would be a critical first step for the leadership of the Republican caucus to say, we know this has gone on too long. Several of our own members, there are Republicans, you just heard Senator Graham, Senator Flake, and others who will vote against the House-passed CR. This is the time for us to be mature, bipartisan leaders who will avert a shutdown and move forward on a broad, bold resolution to these challenges.
Thank you so much, Senator Chris Coons.
Thank you.
Get back with us with any updates, please.